I've been waiting all day to tell my husband something that will change everything. I'm sitting here, staring at the clock, watching the minutes crawl by until my husband gets home from work. My hands won't stop shaking. I've rehearsed what I'm going to say 100 times, but the word still feels surreal in my mouth. I can't call him. I can't text him. I can't ask him to leave work early. His job doesn't work that way, and honestly, this isn't a medical emergency, not in the traditional sense anyway. But God, the weight of what I'm carrying right now feels impossible to hold alone. He needs to be the first to know, before my parents, before my sister, before anyone. Let me back up, because this story doesn't start today. It starts 5 years ago, in 2020, when my entire world tilted sideways. I was 31 years old when they found it. A brain tumor, just sitting there in my skull like an uninvited guest that had moved in without asking permission. The doctors looked at the scans and said it was most likely benign. Those two words, most likely, became both my comfort and my torment. They didn't rush to remove it. The world was in the grip of a pandemic. Hospitals were overwhelmed, and unless you were actively dying, you waited. So I waited. I learned to live with the knowledge that something was growing inside my brain, and there was nothing I could do but hope those doctors were right. For nearly 3 years, I existed in this strange limbo. Regular scans, watchful waiting, trying to live a normal life while carrying this secret passenger in my head. Then came early 2023, and everything exploded, literally. A routine scan revealed that the tumor had hemorrhaged, massive bleeding. I was rushed to the nearest neurosurgery center in an ambulance, sirens blaring, my husband's face white as a sheet beside me. They prepped me for emergency surgery within hours. The neurosurgeon was calm, professional, but I could see it in his eyes. This was serious. They removed the tumor, all of it, they said. And that's when they dropped the real bomb. It hadn't been benign at all. It was cancer. Had been all along. But, and this was supposed to be the good news, they'd gotten it all. Clean margins. I was officially in remission. The chances of it coming back? Minimal. Almost zero. I could breathe again. My husband could breathe again. We started talking about the future again, making plans, booking that trip we'd postponed. 4 months. That's all we got. 4 goddamn months before the symptoms came roaring back. The headaches, the vision problems, the dizziness. I knew. Deep in my bones, I knew. But part of me didn't want to believe it. My GP, thank God for that man, didn't dismiss my concerns. He ordered another brain scan, just to be safe. The tumor was back, and it hadn't just crept back timidly. In the span of 16 weeks, it had grown to the size of a walnut. A walnut! In 4 months! The radiologist actually paused when delivering the results, like he couldn't quite believe what he was seeing either. But the doctors were optimistic. It'll be easy to treat, they assured me. A few cycles of oral chemotherapy and you'll be done. You'll barely feel it. I wanted so desperately to believe them. My husband squeezed my hand and smiled, and we thought this was just a minor setback in our story. That was 2 years ago, and nothing about what followed was easy. 8 different chemotherapy regimens, 49 total cycles. Let that number sink in for a moment. 49 times I sat in that chair, poison dripping into my veins, hoping it would kill the cancer before it killed me. 2 more brain surgeries, each one carrying the risk that I'd wake up as someone different or not wake up at all. Multiple courses of radiation therapy targeting my brain with focused beams while I tried not to think about what that was doing to the healthy tissue around the tumor. There were the infections, so many infections. When your immune system is obliterated by chemotherapy, every cold becomes a crisis, every fever a potential death sentence. I lost count of the emergency room visits, the middle of the night hospitalizations, my husband's exhausted face under the fluorescent lights as doctors pumped me full of antibiotics. My kidneys failed, just gave up one day, overwhelmed by the toxic cocktail of medicine keeping me alive. The chemo damaged my heart. It damaged my lungs. There were conversations, hushed, careful conversations about comfort care and quality of life and all those euphemisms doctors use when they mean maybe it's time to stop fighting. But I didn't stop. My husband didn't let me stop. Even when I was so tired I couldn't remember what it felt like to not be in pain, he was there. Every single appointment, every surgery, every scan, holding my hand, wiping my tears, making stupid jokes in hospital rooms at 3 in the morning because he knew I needed to laugh or I'd break completely. Except he wasn't at this morning's appointment. My phone rang at 8:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because I was staring at the clock, trying to convince myself to get out of bed. It was my oncologist's office. Could I come in today? Emergency appointment. They had an opening at 11:30. My stomach dropped. In 2 years, I've learned that emergency appointment with your oncologist is never good news. It means something's changed. Something's wrong. They found something new on the scans. I tried calling my husband, but he was already in a meeting. I left a message. Then I drove myself to the cancer center, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white, playing out every worst-case scenario in my head. The waiting room felt different today. Or maybe I felt different. I watched the other patients. Some with scarves covering their bald heads, some with the telltale paleness of active treatment, some who looked perfectly healthy and normal, hiding their battles under everyday clothes. I wondered if I'd ever stop being one of them, if I'd ever walk into a building without automatically looking for the cancer center. They called my name. I followed the nurse back. My oncologist was already in the room, and when he looked up at me, his expression was unreadable, professional, neutral. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might crack a rib. He gestured for me to sit. I sat, and then he opened his mouth, and the words that came out weren't the ones I'd been bracing myself for. I'm sitting here now, in my living room, the afternoon sun streaming through the windows, and I still can't quite process it. I keep replaying the appointment in my head, the way his face broke into a smile, an actual, genuine smile, something I've rarely seen from him. The way he said it again, just to make sure I understood. The way I burst into tears right there in his office, and he handed me tissues and let me ugly cry for 5 solid minutes. My husband's car just pulled into the driveway. This is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for all day. 5 years of fighting, 5 years of suffering, 5 years of watching my husband carry the weight of my illness alongside his own fears and exhaustion, 5 years of stolen futures and delayed dreams and learning to live in the space between hope and despair. And now I get to tell him it's over. The battle is finished. The war is won. After 8 different types of chemotherapy, after 49 cycles of poison, after 3 brain surgeries, after kidney failure and heart damage, and countless nights where we both wondered if I'd see another sunrise, I heard his key in the lock. I am officially cancer-free. The latest scans came back clear. Completely, utterly, impossibly clear. No tumor, no abnormal growth, no cancer lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike again. My oncologist used the words, "no evidence of disease." He said I'm in complete remission. He said the chances of recurrence at this point are as low as they've ever been. I'm free. After 5 years of being defined by this disease, of planning my life in 3-month increments between scans, of living under the shadow of my own mortality, I'm free. He's walking through the door right now. I can hear him setting down his keys, calling out my name, and I'm about to give him the best news of his life, the news that will let him breathe fully for the first time in years, the news that means we finally get to have the future we've been fighting so hard to reach. Crying again, just writing this. Happy tears this time. Overwhelmed, exhausted, grateful, unbelievably relieved tears. I just needed to tell someone before I burst. But now it's time to tell the person who matters most. We made it. Against all odds, through everything, we actually made it. I am cancer-free. Related comments. I'm an oncology nurse, and I rarely comment on these posts, but I need to say something here. The fact that you went through 49 cycles of chemo is absolutely insane. Most protocols don't even go past 12 to 16 cycles before switching approaches entirely. Your medical team must have seen something that made them keep pushing. The damage to your organs, kidneys, heart, lungs, that's not uncommon with that level of treatment. But the fact that you survived it and beat the cancer, that's remarkable. Genuinely remarkable. My question, though, and I don't mean this negatively, but are you set up with long-term cardiac monitoring? The heart damage from chemo, especially after that many cycles, can have delayed effects years down the line. Please make sure your oncologist has you connected with a cardiologist who specializes in chemo-related damage. You beat the cancer, but you need to stay vigilant about everything else. Congratulations on your remission. You're a warrior, author. Thank you so much for this. Yes, I'm already seeing a cardiologist every 3 months and a nephrologist for my kidneys. The organ damage is something I'll be managing for the rest of my life, honestly. My heart function is at about 45% of what it should be, and my kidneys are not great. But I'm alive, and after everything, that's what matters. You're right that the 49 cycles is unusual. They kept switching protocols because nothing was working long term. The tumor would shrink, then bounce back. It was incredibly aggressive. The last regimen finally did it, but it nearly killed me in the process. I spent 11 days in ICU during cycle 47 because my body just couldn't take it anymore. But we pushed through one more round, and then one more, and somehow, here I am. Comment. I don't want to be that person, but cancer-free and in remission are two different things. Brain tumors, especially aggressive ones that came back once already, have a high recurrence rate. I'm happy for OP, but I think calling it cancer-free after just one clear scan might be premature. You're typically not considered truly cancer-free until you've been NED, no evidence of disease, for 5+ years. OP, I genuinely hope I'm wrong and you never see that tumor again, but please don't stop your surveillance scans. I've seen too many people celebrate too early. Author, you're not wrong to be cautious, and I appreciate the reality check. You're right that I'm technically in remission rather than cured. My oncologist was clear about that. I'll be having scans every 3 months for the next 2 years, then every 6 months for 3 years after that. So yes, I'm very much still under surveillance. But after 5 years of living scan to scan, of having stable disease or slight progression or significant growth, hearing no evidence of disease feels like being cancer-free, even if it's technically not permanent yet. Maybe it's semantics, but for my mental health, I need to celebrate this win. I've earned it. Answer to author. As someone who's been NED from stage 4 colon cancer for 9 years now, I'm with OP on this. Let people celebrate their wins how they need to. The constant fear of recurrence never fully goes away, but you can't live your whole life waiting for the other shoe to drop. OP has been through hell. Let her have this moment. Comment. My dad died from a glioblastoma in 2019. Reading your story brought back so many memories. The false hope after the first surgery, the rapid recurrence, the endless chemo cycles that destroyed his body while barely touching the tumor. He made it 18 months after diagnosis before he couldn't fight anymore. I'm so incredibly happy for you that you made it through, but I also feel this weird anger, not at you, obviously, but at the universe, I guess. Why did you get to survive when my dad didn't? He fought just as hard. He did everything the doctors told him to do, and he still lost. I know that's not fair to put on you. I'm genuinely happy you're cancer-free. I wish my dad had gotten that phone call too. Comment. I understand your anger, and you don't need to apologize for it. Survivor's guilt is real, and so is grief. I'm so sorry about your dad. The truth is, I don't know why I survived. My tumor was aggressive, it came back fast, and there were multiple times the doctors thought I wouldn't make it. I think it's partly luck, partly that my tumor happened to respond to that final chemo protocol, and partly that my body was somehow able to withstand treatment that should have killed me. Your dad's fight was just as valid as mine. Cancer is random and cruel and unfair. Some people do everything right and still lose. I wish I had a better answer for you. I wish your dad had gotten his miracle too. Comment. Am I the only one who thinks it's weird that OP is posting this on Reddit before telling her husband? Like, girl, close the laptop and wait the 30 minutes for him to get home. Some moments should be private. This feels like trauma dumping for internet points. Answer. Did you even read the post? She literally says she can't keep it inside anymore. After 5 years of hell, the woman is allowed to express her joy however she needs to. She's not live streaming the conversation with her husband. She shared her feelings with internet strangers while waiting. That's not trauma dumping. That's being human. Answer to answer. I guess. It just feels performative to me, but maybe I'm just cynical. Comment. Medical student here. Currently doing my oncology rotation. Can I just say that your case would be the kind we'd study in grand rounds? A recurrent brain tumor that responded to treatment after 49 cycles when most protocols stop at 12 to 16? That's textbook defying. Your oncologist probably has a case report written up on you. Question. What was the histology? Was it a grade 3 or 4 astrocytoma, oligodendroglioma? The fact that it hemorrhaged initially but was still considered benign is interesting, and the rapid recurrence at 4 months suggests high-grade features. Also, and this is purely from a learning perspective, do you know which chemo regimen finally worked? TMZ, or temozolomide, is standard, but obviously wasn't enough in your case. Author. It was initially diagnosed as a grade 2 oligodendroglioma, but after the first surgery in 2023, they reclassified it as grade 3 with some grade 4 features. So it was basically on the border of being a glioblastoma. TMZ was the first-line treatment, and it failed within 4 months. After that, we tried lomustine, bevacizumab plus irinotecan, carboplatin, a PCV regimen, another bevacizumab combo, and 2 experimental protocols through clinical trials. The one that finally worked was one of the experimental ones. I can't share the specific medicine combo because I signed an NDA as part of the trial, but it was brutal. The side effects were worse than anything else I'd been through. And yes, my oncologist has already asked permission to write up my case. Apparently, I'm a remarkable responder to a treatment that hasn't shown this level of success in other patients yet. Lucky me. Comment. I'm not the OP's husband, obviously, but I am someone whose wife went through cancer treatment. Stage 3 breast cancer. Finished treatment 8 months ago, currently NED. When I read your post, I started crying at my desk at work because I know exactly what your husband is about to feel. That moment when you tell him, man, he's gonna fall apart in the best possible way. For 5 years, he's been carrying the weight of possibly losing you. Every scan, every appointment, every time you felt sick, he's been preparing himself for the worst while desperately hoping for the best. He's probably had conversations in his head about what life would be like without you. He's probably laid awake at night watching you sleep, terrified it might be one of the last times. And now you get to tell him he doesn't have to be scared anymore. I'm so happy for both of you. Congratulations on your remission. Give your husband an extra hug from an internet stranger who understands what he's been going through. Comment. I'm crying reading this. You're absolutely right about everything. I've watched the fear in his eyes for 5 years. I've heard him crying in the shower when he thought I couldn't hear. I've seen him research clinical trials at 2 a.m. when he should be sleeping. I just told him 20 minutes ago. He didn't fall apart. He just stood there for a minute, completely still. And then he wrapped his arms around me and we both cried for a long time. Then he went to the bedroom and I heard him making phone calls. I think he's calling his parents and his brother. He needed a minute to process it alone. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I hope your wife continues to do well. Write what you think about this situation. Also, if you like this video, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the bell to receive notifications about the latest videos. See you next time. Bye-bye.